your greatest masterpiece might actually be a mathematical death trap. 1962. The British and French governments signed an unprecedented treaty to build the Concorde. It was the absolute pinnacle of human aerospace engineering, designed to completely conquer the skies. But hidden inside these massive steel hangars, a silent mathematical disaster was already rapidly brewing. I have seen brilliant founders make this exact same catastrophic miscalculation in their own lives. They build complex systems, completely ignoring the fundamental architecture of the foundation they stand on. Let us look very closely at the original blueprints for this magnificent, doomed flying machine. The engineers knew within months that the supersonic jet would never actually be financially profitable. The fuel consumption was truly astronomical, and the passenger capacity was simply far too small. The basic unit economics of the entire massive operation were fundamentally and completely irreversibly broken. Yet, instead of halting the doomed project, the governments immediately decided to double their budget. Why? Because they had already spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the initial research. They were absolutely terrified of admitting failure, so they kept feeding the burning money pit. This is the exact birthplace of what cognitive psychologists now call the Concorde Fallacy trap. It is the dangerous, irrational desire to justify previous investments by spending even more resources. You simply cannot fix a structurally flawed vehicle by pouring more premium fuel into it. The cold mechanics of the machine do not care about how much money you spent. Look closely at these ledgers. The red ink bleeds across every single page of accounting. The executives stared directly at these catastrophic numbers and chose to completely ignore the reality. They confused the immense weight of their past effort with actual forward-looking systemic operational viability. Every single new dollar spent was just a desperate psychological defense mechanism against public humiliation. They built the plane anyway. It flew beautifully, but it bled capital every single day. The system was completely closed. It required continuous, massive external energy just to stay alive. I built a startup once that operated on this exact same fundamentally flawed retention logic. We kept pivoting endlessly, trying to save the initial code base instead of starting over. I burned 2 full years of my life protecting a product that nobody actually wanted. The executives in this boardroom felt that exact same deep, paralyzing fear of starting over. They pushed the engineers to find magical solutions to impossible physical and complex thermodynamic problems. But physics is brutally unforgiving. You simply cannot negotiate with the melting point of titanium. They held on to the beautiful illusion of the supersonic dream, completely ignoring the structural decay. The Concorde became a flying museum of sunk costs, heavily subsidized by stubborn national pride. Now, let us take this exact historical mechanism and directly apply it to your life. High-performing tech professionals are incredibly susceptible to this specific cognitive trap in their personal relationships. You treat your failing family architecture exactly like these desperate executives treated the doomed airplane. You look at a toxic marriage and carefully calculate the sheer number of years invested. You think about the shared assets, the complex social circles, the history you built together. You tell yourself that walking away right now would mean all that effort was wasted. So you allocate more present-day emotional resources to protect a historically bankrupt personal relational system. You attend endless therapy sessions that function exactly like pouring fuel into a broken engine. The structure itself is fundamentally incompatible, but you completely refuse to accept the ledger's reality. You are confusing the heavy weight of sunk costs with the actual viability of tomorrow. Just like the Concorde, your relationship might still look incredibly impressive from the outside observer. You project an image of success, maintaining altitude while the internal systems quietly fail completely. But the daily operational cost of sustaining that beautiful illusion is slowly destroying your mind. You wake up exhausted, constantly managing the endless friction of a machine that cannot fly.
The engineers here knew the truth. They clearly saw the metal fatigue in the turbine. You also know the truth about your relationship. You feel the deep internal structural fatigue. You clearly see the warning lights flashing on the dashboard of your own family system. Yet, your diagnostic curiosity completely stops the moment you look at your own personal life. You can reverse engineer a complex software architecture, but you ignore your own total emotional bankruptcy. The Concorde Fallacy actively weaponizes your own loyalty and endurance against your future personal well-being.
It convinces you that quitting is a failure rather than a highly necessary strategic correction. But clinging to a sinking ship just because you helped build it is absolute madness. History does not reward those who stubbornly burn precious capital on systems that cannot scale. The executives eventually had to ground the fleet. The massive financial bleeding became completely unsustainable. They were finally forced to face the reality they had avoided for over 30 years. How many more years will you burn before you finally ground your own failing system? You cannot recover the time you have already spent. That specific currency is gone forever. The only variable you actually control is where you allocate your energy starting from today. The courage to walk away is the absolute highest form of strategic pattern recognition available. It requires you to brutally separate your past emotional investments from your future trajectory path. We must immediately define a new framework for evaluating the systemic architecture of modern marriage. I call it the Zero-Based Relational Budget. It is a harsh but highly necessary metric. Imagine you just met your partner today, knowing absolutely everything you know about them now. Would you actively choose to start this exact relationship from scratch, right here, right now? If the honest answer is no, then you're operating deep inside the Concorde Fallacy. You're staying only because of the past, not because of the actual future potential. That is not a partnership. That is a literal hostage situation with your own history. The hardest decision a CEO ever makes is killing a project they deeply believe in. The hardest decision you will make is dismantling a family architecture that is fundamentally failing. But the alternative is a slow, agonizing descent into permanent resentment and total systemic collapse. The Concorde was a beautiful tragedy, a massive monument to human ego and sunken costs. Do not let your own life become a monument to a relationship that cannot fly. Look at the evidence directly in front of you. Read the ledger of your life. The numbers do not lie, and the structural integrity of your own mind is degrading. You are a peer-level diagnostician in your career. Apply that exact same rigor at home. Stop pouring your premium operational resources into a historical void that gives absolutely nothing back. Ground the plane. Accept the historical loss. Reclaim your future before it is completely gone. The mechanism is clear. The pattern is proven. The only missing variable is your action. Will you keep burning capital, or will you finally step off the doomed flight today? The choice is yours. But always remember, the ledger of time never offers a refund.